You know what? Life is not fair. We don't live in a utopia world where things are supposed to make sense. There isn't a blanket approach or a playbook that says this is how you get ahead in life, right? Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to chat to you about life is not as utopia as how we used to think it's supposed to be growing up. Recently I shared on my other socials about sometimes life is just not fair. Now, I was speaking from a place of not everybody has the same exposure as others. Probably who have more exposure will now have opportunities too. People start towards the tail end of a good head start, whether other people start towards not even that bracket or that benchmark to start from, but way before or way behind people. And I'm speaking about this from a perspective that I have been able to witness about how sometimes exposure does really determine how much you are able to get access to in this life. And I would encourage, especially parents, those who have kids, to expose your kids to a lot of life experiences that will either help them to be better human beings as they navigate life in corporate, in business, in any public setting or industries of trade that they want to be a part of. Expose them to where the decisions are made or the decision makers are probably placed. Expose them to where activities will probably be more inclined to go to because of that environment, that opportunity always placed in terms of being best placed. Okay, I'm sharing this because you know what, life is not fair. We don't live in a utopia world where things are supposed to make sense. There's certain things in this world that you will have to just read the room. You will have to ask the behind questions from people who will share because now you're aware. However, there isn't a blanket approach or a playbook that says this is how you get ahead in life, right? There are those underlying behind the scenes conversations that you don't necessarily have access to unless you ask the right questions, or you are very inquisitive because you are very ambitious. And you being ambitious as well is determined because of your ambition and your dreams, your ability to wanting more out of life. And those questions then will be drawn from that, right? However, a lot of people don't have, as much as they may have the ambition, they might not have the language, they might not even know what forum to express those ambitions, right? The Lord has blessed me. I'm grateful. When I used to engage in conversations with mentors and coaches, they would tell me about the unwritten rules, the way to navigate your answer or navigate towards what you want. And I felt that because I didn't understand why those rules even existed and why weren't they shared before, I found myself trying to play catch up, right? I found myself trying to play catch up, and because of my ability not to know the conversations, the people, what was being said or what was not being said, and not being exposed to certain things at that time or even before, had me thinking that now I need to play the game. And I think as young people who are upcoming in corporates and businesses, we are doing a disservice to them if we do not tell them about the unwritten rules that happen in these streets. And I think for me, it's just been a lot of, I wouldn't say regret, but there has been a lot of reflection around, I wish I picked up on these read the room conversations behind the scenes. And I want to share this with someone who might be going through something similar as me, and they're questioning, like, I wish I knew this, I wish I had more information, I wish I I was told the truth about certain things when it came to my worth, because I was under the impression that people were doing right by me, and only to find that maybe in this particular instance, no, they actually were not doing right by you. You were exposed to data, but you were not exposed to data that had the behind the scenes layer to it. And because you were not inquisitive enough, or you didn't know the right questions, you didn't know the behind the scenes, you played along, or you didn't play along, but they played you along because you didn't know. And as a child of God, I've been trying to assess with God in terms of, like, why do unfair things happen to us? Why do people lie? Why do people don't say what they know is going to benefit you? Why is it to find out things this way? And look at the page in the scriptures. Life isn't fair. Okay, life is utopia. Life is not utopia in this world. We live in a fallen world. So people will try their best to minimize or expose you to the most minimalist information as much as possible to get either whatever agenda that they have to push it ahead. And let's start vocalizing and you start asking the right questions because you've been told what to ask because of those who've gone before you, then you will start getting what you are worth and what you are aspiring to be. And this obviously for me is in the context of corporate. I've been in corporate for the past 15 years. This year will be my 15th year. Started in 2010. I never thought I'll be saying 15 years in corporate. Oh my gosh, give me years of service. But I've been in corporate for 15 years. Obviously, I've been in multiple roles, working for different companies, but I've been working for the past 15 years post-uni in 2009. And I've been grateful to have had the opportunities to find a job straight out of varsity. I've grown as a person, as someone who always just thought people would do right by you. And then you only find out later, yes, some people will do right by you, but a lot of people actually won't. And if you don't know what you don't know, you won't be given whatever you are aspiring to be given, whether it's more exposure, because you're just thinking that people will do right by you. And they're saying all the right things. They're saying you are doing well. And hence why the video that I'm going to post on the description, when it talks about the coach Tanya talks about, are you being prepared or are you being played?
Are you getting played or are you being prepared at work? Now, this is something that I wish that I had heard about 20 years ago. Would have saved me a lot of time and energy, but I've figured it out and I am here to share this with you today. So I want you to think about, if you are someone who is ambitious, you are going the extra mile, you want to climb the corporate ladder or whatever it is you want to call it. You want to grow in your career at a company. I want you to pay attention here because sometimes they will tell you that they're right there with you and hey, yeah, we want to get you to the next level. And they're lying. Okay, they're really playing you. And in other instances, they're right there with you and they are preparing you. So I'm going to share some tips here for you so that you can think about, am I really being prepared? Am I getting played? And I'll also let you know what you should ask. Some questions that you should ask of the folks involved, or maybe just some questions you need to ask yourself. So let's get into it.
And majority of us, if we are not as forthcoming when it comes to our careers, our developments, and we are not forthcoming in terms of what we want earlier on, you will find that many of the things that Tanya says in her video about what does looking prepared look like, how does being prepared looks like versus how being played looks like. Some people like the idea of your skills and your ability to do things, but they have no plan for you, right? Whereas someone who there are a few who have a plan for you and are vouching for you, right? But those are few people in this bigger scheme of things. And I want to share this video because we spend so much of our lives going in and out of work, and we don't know the games that are being played, or we're not sure where we stand. We try and grapple with the fact why we are still where we are when we've worked so hard. And because you don't know what you don't know, you're just trusting that people will do right by you, only to find later on that, oh no, you actually were sold a lie. You realize that you were not told the whole truth. They might have told you partial of the truth, or they might have told you what you just needed to know, just to keep you going. And I've been just grappling with this, trying to think what could I have done better, what questions could I have asked. And I'm not lamenting, I'm not regretting anything that has happened in my life, but I do believe that God wants to award us with that prize that he talks about in Hebrews 11 verse 1, where we want to obtain the prize towards the race in which we are running towards. And imagine if you're running a normal race, running, road running, marathon, but you will keep on going around the same loop and you are not getting towards that prize that is on the end of that race. You start getting frustrated. You start asking questions. Okay, what is the map here? Where's everybody? What is the direction? Why weren't I told about this in advance? You start asking questions. What's going on? Because God wants me to obtain this prize called life, the life of my dreams. This, the gift that he's given me. He wants me to use them to the best of my abilities, right? And you get frustrated. You are only human. And I'm using my own platform to share this because I know I'm not the only person who either feels like life really could be way better than it is right now, based on maybe the decisions I could have made earlier, the room that I was supposed to read earlier that I wasn't reading because I didn't know. And you feel shortchanged. You feel like you've been betrayed by people that you trusted with your future, with your career. And I'm at a place in my life where I realize that now that, you know what, life isn't fair, and I need to make a decision on how I circumvent what has happened to me, and not from a posture of lack or not being seen or sorry, look at me, feel sorry for me, not from that posture, but from a victorious posture. And I look at the children of Israel when Joshua chapter 1 was declaring what the Lord said: be strong, be courageous. You know, the land in which our forefathers couldn't get, now we are going to obtain. But I need you to be strong and be courageous. He repeated that probably like 3 or 4 times. And he was trying to motivate people who were in a loop for more than 40 years towards the promised land, right? And even those people who were promised, they were not there. It was a completely different generation. But that generation used to hear of these promises. But they were like, where are these promises? But now they were the ones who were going to obtain them. At the end of the day, we want what's best for our future, our children, our families. We want to expose them to life, and we want to create experiences for them as much as we can. And and that requires mammon, which is the systems of this world. However, God requires us to be the salt and light in this world, even though the systems of this world are ruling how we show up and how we are living while we're still on this other side of eternity. And not everybody has the same head start. So when I started this video, I spoke about not everybody has the same head start. Not everybody's exposed to the same experiences or same rooms, same schools. Depending on which school you are, you might be exposed to certain things that will actually quantum leap you faster than other people who won't be exposed to that. And that's the sad thing about this life, is that people will always do what they know to do unless somebody tells them otherwise. Yes, you can figure it out, but you might be falling behind. Don't keep quiet. Don't live in your blessed assurance because now you have exposure, you have access to this. Tell the other person from the outside who might not know what then to do. Share the information. Don't lie to them. Be honest. I think we will be really demystifying the system of this world if we really had a lot of people, once they get to the other side, are not continuing the systems of this world, but are actually fighting against them and restoring people to the same level. Not because of them knowing the room or knowing certain people, but because they actually are just as worth it, regardless of that background. Have an awesome day, guys. Bye.